hope you are well. Very important. I really and sincerely hope you are well. Listen, there's a lot for me to share today, so I'm gonna go about it in the best way possible by just start talking with all of you, and hopefully we hit on all the important pieces. Number one is, first of all, your all well-being. And well-being has a lot to do, a lot more with financially, but we are finance focused over here primarily. And I hope that everyone was able to get past that horrific event unscathed. Anyone following obviously CTM strategies, all of our swing trading had already been on the sidelines. Momentum had already been waning. By the way, the bears are gone in the background. We've had what was a pretty strong liquidation event, not just on crypto, but obviously, let me just rewind. What's going on, everyone? I need to be able to jump in here and find a bit of the flow. It's escaping me right now, but I'm going to get into it. And this is an important session that I have a lot to talk about and share with you. So I want to be able to get into it all. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we're able to do that. And hold on one second. That's what's throwing me off over here. The bears are off in the background because of this massive candle here that has occurred on the Nasdaq. And whether or not people could have seen it coming, I feel like I was off sides for a long time. I had the bears up for about 6 sessions, right? And bulls just kept complete control over that. No question about it. And now that though we had that event that took place on Friday, at this particular point in time, my own belief about the next direction of the markets is I don't expect like a V recovery and we're going to be shooting off into the stratosphere at all. I expect a lot of muddling along right now, and I expect that all eyes onto earnings. That's where I'm focused right now, and I do believe probably the most important event looking forward right now is 2 weeks from now when President Xi and Trump are expected to meet. So if for any reason they don't meet, which it does not look like that's happening, and if you ask me what had happened was that, well, because I think this is important, right? There were signs that actually ahead of the meeting, as we said on Friday, that the Chinese were kind of like jockeying for position. And Trump's response to that was rather aggressive. And then the Chinese, as we saw on, inside the Discord, we're looking at Financial Juice. I posted it on Twitter over the weekend. The Chinese were then like, oh, no, 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 no. Hold on. Let us reiterate. You could still get the rare earth materials. You just got to file applications, blah, 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 blah. And they are the ones who de-escalated in light of the threat of 100% tariffs. And then Trump was like, okay, well, it was just obviously a mistake on their part. And the meeting looks like it's going to happen. And it looks like that ahead of this meeting, that both sides were trying to kind of like jockey for position. And I mean, I don't think it's out of character for Trump to respond the way that he did personally. I think that's very much within character. And we're going to talk about whether or not my initial thought was that Barron Trump was behind that big short on Bitcoin. I told her, like, I thought it was Barron. Turns out it's Garrett. So because of that massive move down, and again, I feel like I was off sides on it, even though for like 6 days I had bears like lurking in the background. That didn't unfold the way that I expected, but because it was such a forceful move down, and obviously we're reverting to the mean over here, my expectations again is right now we're just probably going to continue muddling along. We have to really focus on earnings, and we have to watch what happens at the summit. And if they walk away from that summit with like, back where we were prior, where like, both sides are not really happy with each other, but they're going to keep going, right? Then markets are not going to be focused on that as much right now. If things were to deteriorate and if they didn't meet, then I think that this is just the beginning of the downside correction that we will see. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. Now, as far as our positioning throughout all of that madness, right? And start over here. Like because of the momentum already waning, all of our swing trading had already been on the sidelines. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, all on the sidelines. And then Bitcoin bull runs taking a full stop loss, 2.5%. And that was it. It could have been a lot worse for stocks. Stocks got really, 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 really lucky, in my opinion. They all had some decent profit going into Friday, and then the candles on these leveraged instruments were massive to the downside. And the weekend didn't have to go with the de-escalation. We could have been opened up on Sunday evening, Monday in Asia, with a massive gap down from where we closed on Friday. And if so, these positions would have probably, some of them, exceeded where their stop loss is. Remember, your stop loss is if there's a gap below it, it's going to exit then at market, whatever that market is. It's not respecting where the stop loss was. So in this case, it worked out luckily in our favor. And like TQQQ was able to close up 9%. You saw Tesla exiting the market up 14%. Fang exiting the market up 3%. IBIT is still in the market. It's at break even, up almost 1%. And it's got a pending close right now. Nvidia's holding. It didn't get an exit signal. It's holding 3.5%. And strategy for those that are trading not in retirement counts, in margin counts, and trading on the short side, that went short this morning, currently trading against it 1.6% with a close short pending by the end of the session. Overall, I think we got exceedingly lucky. It is what it is. I mean, I'm thankful for it. And we got to walk away from this period of where I was kind of highly cautious and think we're going to get chopped up, taking some profits off the table. It worked out great, but like I feel very grateful for it because it could have went the other way against us, the other way very easily. So have to be grateful for that. Now, that's our positioning. I'm not here to be like, look at us and way ahead of it. I see a lot of people taking victory laps right now about calls, and we're just lucky. Like conquering the markets, stay humble, execute, and stay on the right side. And it does, like there could be a day when it was painful. This one wasn't. This one got to like take some profits, and the micro strategy here being on the wrong side doesn't really matter. Bitcoin, those trading on the short side, taking a short trade over here, stopped out again, doesn't really matter. Like safe and protected. And by the way, I have to just jump over here really quick with you all and just take a look at this chart over here. And we had this trend line in on Friday, and we're like, as long as we're above it, the structure looks really good. Definitely pierced below in the liquidations, but you could see also that trend line's still intact and held. It wicked below massively on all those liquidations. But as far as structure goes, as long as we're above that line, our analysis hasn't changed at all. Now that was the largest liquidation event in crypto's history to date. But guys, until the next one, and as the market cap of the space continues to grow, there will be another event in the future, and the next one eventually, or depending on the market cap at the time, is going to be bigger. But I remember what it was like in March 2020. And I remember the day that Bitcoin was in a complete free fall. And I have to say, this day reminded me of it the most since. I mean, guys, look, this is what we just saw was honestly no big deal if you've been around. And I hope that you are desensitized to it. Like when I saw and looked at, and I saw Cardano trading down off 60% at 30 cents, I was like, that's not right. That reminds me of March 2020. I want to be able to buy some. I tried logging into a broker, and it was not possible. And I was not able to. And by the time, like, it was up, 100% up, back up to 60 cents, not too long thereafter. And, but the point being is that that like wasn't like, oh, fear. That was like, no, this is too much. Same thing with Bitcoin, coming off, and I don't remember what I saw it trading at. I think I might have seen 105, but I don't I was focused on Cardano, and I don't remember exactly what the price was, but again, I was like, that's too far too. It reminded me of this, and this was absolutely too far too quick. I remember it in real time, and it was like either Bitcoin's going to zero, or this is the bottom. This pace can't keep up, and it was for me. It was just the same thought process. There was no fear whatsoever. I hope the same was for you. Um, However, I want to talk about something here that's very, very, very important. And I've been talking about how this is really important. I'm going to get serious for 1 second. This is really vitally important here. I've been talking about how I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people got left behind over the last few years because they were invested in altcoins. And this is like trying to take the easy way out. And Bitcoin obviously has been on this massive run, and select altcoins continue to outperform. I had a really good chart up a second ago. I'm a little dispersed. I don't know where it is. A lot of people looking at BNB and Solana. A lot of people think Solana is being suppressed. It's not much different than looking at gold and Bitcoin and looking at them from January 1st, 2025, and forgetting that 50% move up in 45 days on Bitcoin, right? And Solana went on an epic run, before, like, right now BNB's outperforming, but the starting point matters. If I find that chart, I'll pull it up with you. We'll take a look at it. Um, but I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people got left behind by focusing on alts. And I think that, I kept saying retail's irrelevant. People kept looking for, Google searches of like people searching Bitcoin. And I was like, doesn't matter. Like, we've hit the early majority. It's just a different market right now. And now I feel like a lot of those people just got left behind, like washed out. And the problem here is because time is running out. I don't create urgency. I'm just like, listen, you just need to be executing and staying ahead. But the world as we know it is not going to look the same 2 years from now, and it's definitely not going to look the same 5 years from now. It's going to be wildly different. And if I would have said that to you before the lockdowns, we would have no context. But everyone is aware how quickly and in a short time, how rapidly the world around us could change. And you could even, like my friends out in the UK, that a year ago, the world that you lived in was a lot different than it is today. And then you also have the context of what happened in 2020. And, we are looking at a rapid, rapid pace of advancement right now inside the tech space. There's a real AI race happening. And, you guys remember using ChatGPT a year ago? It barely could do, help with my kids' homework. Someone doesn't think there's a real AI race going on. Oh my God, you're about to wake up to the crudest awakening of your life, Tyler. I don't want to get into the AI race today, but maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow I kind of want to focus more actually on equities, and today I want to talk about what I think is really important here. And guys, so a lot of good people really got set back in the last 3 days. And we could blame Trump. I don't think we should blame Trump. I would talk about that. We could, but most of all, the onus has to be on yourself. Like, guys, we all just want to always be able to make good decisions, and through our life and experience, learn to make better ones, and especially from our mistakes and our failures. There's no question about that. CTM is zero leverage. Now we trade some levered instruments in the stock markets, but when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, it is zero leverage. Why? Well, we don't need any leverage, right? And when you're talking about altcoins, listen, a lot of people were using light leverage. Like 2x leverage is not so light, right? But 2x leverage, 3x leverage, but the problem is this, two things. That's why everyone to really understand. You could have a stop loss in. We talked about gaps in equity markets, and if the market gap below your stop loss, it doesn't respect your stop loss. This could happen over the weekend to a large degree. It could happen overnight, but it depends on when the market opens up. But in crypto, if you have a stop loss in and there's no one else bidding, it's going to blow through your stop loss until you're able to get filled, which could be significantly lower. The stop loss does not but the problem is that a lot of people are using cross margin on these platforms. And what that means is that, let's say you're in a position, let's say Raul told you Sui's a good investment, and you're like, I'm all in on Sui and I'm going 2x on here. And then Sui's off 60% in a minute, and you're getting liquidated from cross margin. All your positions are gone. Zero. Gone in an instant. Gone. And first of all, you should not be using any margin. If you're using margin, I think this is a really good reminder how dangerous it is, and how important it would be for you to be using isolated margin. Lose that one position, but putting your whole portfolio at risk. I mean, what's needed is time and compounding, and you can't replace those things. Now, if you have a strategy that's able to outperform the best of the best, you have to focus on execution, and you have to focus on time. You have to be very and there's a gazillion other problems. That's the hard problem. But if you're out there taking risks to get ahead, and then you get set back, then it's even more difficult. It's more difficult. By the way, CME and listen, don't trust. Like, yeah, like sexes are a joke. These decentralized exchanges are a joke, and they didn't do anything wrong, by the way. Like, and we'll talk about this in 1 second. I'll get to that actually uh, very, very soon. At least we found a little bit of a flub. There's a lot to unpack here, which is why I'm just like, where do I begin? So CME is looking to 24/7 trading of futures, Bitcoin futures, which I think is awesome. I can't wait, but it doesn't mean that you've seen it. I've seen it recently in nickel, and traders were like, the traders that were long nickel, and it just went. They basically they just roll back their trades. They're like, okay, it's like GME removing the sell button, removing the buy button. Like, they're just like, okay, you beat us, so we're gonna just change the rules. And they did it in the nickel market, and they could do it in any market. And I don't like, that's the whole thing, is that we can never get comfortable. We can never trust anyone. J-Core, is that your line? I don't know. I just put it out on the session on Friday. We were together. Like, that's awesome that we are seeing the market similar. So listen, let me just move forward on the conversation a little bit and move over to here. Not to here, but we'll come back to this. Jump it over right here. First of all, we'll start here. This is, what do they call it? World Liberty Finance? What a joke. The funniest thing about this flash crash is that it could have been predicted. Trump's company just jumped 30% by market a few hours before the tariffs announcement. Listen, let me just jump over here. Pull up this chart. This is at the top, World Liberty Financial. In the middle is Bitcoin, at the bottom is Ethereum. When World Liberty dumped, that wasn't like insiders inside World Liberty dumping their coin. The market in unison was dumping at that particular moment in time. Now, what time of day was this? Is around the time that Trump put out that post that was basically pointing to the moves that the Chinese were making, which this is coming from excuse me. This is not like this was, let's say, at first real moves being made by the Chinese, Trump responding to them, Trump escalating further, and then the Chinese being like, hold on, let us clarify. And you just fill out your applications. You're still going to get your rare earth materials. We could deny them, but you're still going to get them. And, the whole situation just going from like China escalating, Trump really escalating, China backing down, and Trump backing down. And this wasn't like some type of, and again, I thought at first, I'm like, that must be Barron Trump on that short, right? And you could see it looks, I mean, what are the odds? New account, hyperliquid. What was moved? I forgot the amount of money. It was something like, and I don't remember the specific, I thought it was like $63 million worth of Bitcoin moved. Opened up a short, making $190-200 million in 24 hours. Absolutely insane. I thought it, I don't know what's wrong with my throat this morning. I thought it had to be Barron. Son, come in here. Come into the Oval Office. Listen, I'm about to post something out on the internet. Go ahead and take a short. Dude, we're gonna make you money. We're gonna make you some bank right now. From what I understand, Barron's already made $80 million in the past year or so. Not bad for NYU student. And so I feel like it looks like inside, and it had nothing to do with later in the afternoon, the tariffs after the close during the most illiquid portion of the day. That's also, by the way, that's generally when massive announcements like that are always made. Whether it's Trump or any other president in the United States, it's always after market hours. However, in this world, that is the most illiquid time of the whole week for crypto, and it had massive ramifications. But guess what? Bitcoin and crypto, they're now like, they're on the world stage, and these type of events do affect them. So it turns out that someone on the internet like did an investigation, calling on Zachbot and other people, and he was able to go ahead and determine that most likely it was this guy Garrett, who CZ has just confirmed, right? This guy was the ex-CEO of Bit4X. This guy's worth billions already. He made all his money stealing money, and is he like in cahoots with the Trumps? Maybe it's possible, but it's unlikely, right? And then he confirmed it though. He's like, hey, CZ is not the one that doxed him. It was whoever this guy Ion Chains did, and this post was, well, already 2.4 million views. Well, and he tags Garrett as well, but CZ did confirmed it, and then Garrett admits it. He's like, yeah, it was me. Now, whether or not he has any connection to the Trump family and or not, I don't know. None of us know. But, he's a shady character. And I guess you could say that, like, listen, Trump coin, Millennia coin, World Liberty Financial, so are they. So maybe, but I don't think there's a connection. I don't think this is like some great. I don't think that. I think there were other people also who saw what was developing here with Trump's response, right? And anyway, that's my own feelings on what transpired, and I love that we're able to find out pretty quickly, what exactly is happening and how it's happening, and get behind these actors. Again, I thought it was Barron Trump. Wasn't Barron, right? Um Listen, I want to jump over here to this the Bitcoin Core last update. I want to just check in really quick on the I'm going to call it drama. It not necessarily is drama, this actually ties in specifically to what we're talking about as well, with the importance of not making a listen, guys, we're betting on Bitcoin. I was looking back at my tweets when I first started talking about Bitcoin as a hedge against the debasement of the currency. Like 2021 to present, that's my thing. I'm like, Bitcoin is not a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against the debasement of the currency. Now it's the debasement trade, and everyone sees it. By the way, big shout out to silver, trading at $52. Silver and gold continue here for sure to be leading the way. Gold at $4,100. This is different. Something is different. Um, so a lot of people are wondering what's going on with the whole knots and the whole core debate. And I definitely am like, that doesn't take up any of my space in my head. I'm not, and it reminds me a little bit of the block wars. And but more importantly, like, just two things of note. One is not as important because who knows, but as it is, and I don't know what side you're on. I have something important to add to the conversation right now. So before I do that, um, Adam Back, right? So one of the guys sourced in the by Satoshi in the white paper. He's on Bitcoin core side, and again, that doesn't mean anything. He's also, sold a lot of Bitcoin to be part of Bitcoin treasury companies lately. So that could be a warning sign in itself, personally, you know. But the worry about the other side of the debate is that this last upgrade could cause a lot of harmful material to be placed in the blockchain. By the way, we're betting on Bitcoin, but you have to be ready to pivot at any moment. First of all, if you're not executing off of stocks and off of Bitcoin and crypto, and have some type of like cold storage position, and or better these days, likely in spot ETFs. You know, if you don't have a buy and hold position, and then you're not equally between Bitcoin and crypto and stocks building out solutions, we don't know what happens to Bitcoin. I I look forward to a future where Bitcoin wins, and you know, we look at the rate of adoption, and we look at the devaluation of the underlining, and as long as those two things continue, there's a strong suggestion that Bitcoin does Bitcoin things. But if that changes at any point in time, you need to be ready to pivot to whatever happened in a second. And that's the hard part for a lot of people. You can't just be like, I'm going to dollar cost average into Bitcoin for the next 20 years, next 10 years. And you don't know that it wins ultimately. There's a lot of bad actors out there. There's a lot of bad actors out there. There's a lot of people trying to. Now, President Trump, I hear he has an $870 million Bitcoin position. It looks like he's betting on Bitcoin. If that's true or not, I don't even know. But the word out in the street is that he has an $870 million Bitcoin position. Looks like he's betting on Bitcoin. The worry was, or what Knots is putting out there, is that, hey guys, who's funding these developers right now? That's more of even a concern and a worry for me. But the worry was this. The worry was that harmful content could be put into the blockchain, and then, all of a sudden, like Bitcoin's going to zero, you can't use it. I just want to point out, right? 'Cause someone asked me this right away. I went to Grok because understanding that, early in 2013, 2014, there was already images embedded into blockchain, including pornographic material. So if you running a node at your home, I mean, there's no change in the situation. And then you have from 2020 to recent already with the ordinal subscriptions, a lot more. So don't let that part of the argument that's being expressed be something that is changing that it already exists. There's nothing new about that. All right. Whew. So, more importantly, I don't see anything except drama, and there's nothing here that's changing my opinion whatsoever on the protocol. And if at any point that changes, you're going to know it because we show up every day and we put the work in and we make sure that we stay on the right side regardless of what's happening. I want to look for had a thing over here that I really wanted to say. Maybe I could find it in a second. Maybe I can't, but I would like to. So nothing's changed. If we break and close below here, then at that point, we're likely setting up a bigger correction. We'll look at that if that were to happen. Right now, I expect that again. We muddle along. We have the meeting, the summit between Z and Trump to look for as a pivotal point. If something were to go south, that would say to myself, markets are now entering into correction, not a bear market, a correction. And then we got earning seasons. Those are the major focuses right now. Here we go. So a lot of people are focused in on right now the massive move out of BNB. BNB, by the way, is just always a consistent performer. By the way, during that whole washout, they probably made a ton of money in fees as it is. But more importantly, like here you have what I have this date over here of April, March 2024, because that's after we saw Solana making this massive move up. Solana moving up, 750% in just months. And it's no different than beginning to measure Bitcoin from or gold, I should say, and Bitcoin from January 1st. And if you're after Bitcoin had that 50% move up, and you could be here, well, Solana is being suppressed and CZ's behind it. And no, Solana just had a massive move up into that. Like it's still rising. But after you see moves like that, you normally see markets move to sideways consolidation, chop before they're able to continue moving up. I think people are reading way too much into nothing. Way too much into nothing. I mean, Ace, we're on the verge. V4 makes Bitcoin bull runs obsolete. That's the truth, right? And that's because you never know what's going to happen in the future. You just never know. And I'm rooting for Bitcoin. I really sincerely hope that Bitcoin, for so many reasons, wins. Amongst them, it's fair and just. And as we move into a world of digital ID and central bank digital currencies and further government outreach and controls, Stargate, preemptive crime, like Bitcoin is fair and just. And if that protocol didn't exist, there would be no chance of it being able to be born into existence. The time that Bitcoin was launched and its adoption that took place is providential. Like the reason I root for Bitcoin is because it's good for humanity. Now, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen on the time scale that we want. This went like the hope was that V4 was already live, but right now there's been a lot of advancements and improvements over the last several weeks that continue. You know, very soon. But like you'll wake up one day and we'll like V4 is launched. That's all. Like the hard work is done, but the stuff is complicated, and most importantly, the belief is, as everything we release is then stable, then on in, that like once it's released, that's our best versions. So we're not gonna there's not gonna be any more collaboration on it. So we want to make sure that we're providing the tool that for years ahead is going to put us on the pace and advancement that we want. Um, all right, a lot was said today. We'll leave it here. Tomorrow, I want to get a lot more into equity markets, my views. I don't know if you saw a tweet this morning, and again, I was talking about how the Fed is gaslighting you all with inflation talks. Deflation is the problem. We'll talk about a lot. Yeah, there's no for sure, and or there could be, Matt. I can't imagine, man. I thought under the Biden administration, the amount of fraud that was taking place between the Biden family and in the Ukraine was on a scale that I couldn't comprehend, and I think that the Trump family inside markets has made them look silly. So I guess I can't say I couldn't imagine a world where they would interact with a bad actor like Garrett, but who knows? I don't who knows? All right, y'all. We're back at it tomorrow. Guys, I hope that most of all what happened over the weekend really instills on you more than ever the importance of having our plan, trading our plan, and just methodically being there. Let the years pass, let the compounds pass, and make sure that you're someone who's able to, out on the other side, thrive. That's what we're here to do together. Lots of love, everyone. God bless you. SEO back now on the inside. There's a lot to do.